Hey 49er fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and before we start today's video, go ahead and ask me a question for an upcoming mailbag video. Do you have a question for me regarding the San Francisco 49ers? Well, this is the perfect time. Scroll down below into the comment section, use the hashtag 49ers, and ask any 49er related question, and more likely than not, if it's a good question, I will answer it in a mailbag video later on this week. So go ahead, ask me down below. Alright, so as you see in today's video title, this is all about my 53-man roster projections plus practice squad players, meaning we'll be talking about a lot of players and a lot of positions. Now, I did this before the NFL offseason started, so a couple of months ago, and some things have changed, and so we got to break it down what I think and who I think will be a part of the final 53-man roster for the San Francisco 49ers. So we just jump right in. Quarterback. All right, you're keeping 3. Last time I said 2. Nope, not anymore. With coronavirus, they're definitely going to keep 3. Garoppolo, Mullins, and C.J. Beathard. They keep C.J. Beathard because, as it's been kind of rumored, a lot of teams are worried, well, what if my starter gets coronavirus and then my backup gets coronavirus? I need a third quarterback. This is going to be a new normal in the National Football League. A lot more teams carrying 3 instead of 2. 49ers have a luxury of backup quarterbacks in Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard. They will be the starters, obviously, behind Jimmy Garoppolo, who is entering a season that many people expect to have in terms of his best year. He's already said he's feeling a lot healthier than when he did at this point last year because he was coming off the knee injury. No brace this year. He's 100%. I'm very excited to see what Jimmy Garoppolo is able to do this year. But the big one, though, to start off, they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, in my opinion, instead of 2. Beathard will go ahead and make the roster because it's just with the COVID-19 world we live in, it's better to have 3 at the most important position than 2. Now, before we keep going, subscribe to the 49ers Report because it's better if you're subscribed to this channel because it's the best 49er channel on YouTube in my humble opinion. Yes, in my opinion, if you want nonstop 49er coverage, this is the place to be, so go ahead and subscribe. We have news, rumors, mailbags. We do segments like this all year long leading up to the start of the NFL season and into the NFL season as well, so go ahead and subscribe. Okay, this gets a little interesting in terms of the running back position because now as you try and fit 53 men on a roster, you start to kind of make some compromises, and one compromise I couldn't make was keeping 5 running backs. Now, you see Kyle Juszczyk on this list. He's not a running back, he's a fullback, but he's basically a part of this list anyway. I would actually see the 49ers cutting Tevin Coleman. You cut and it's shocking to people, but you cut Tevin Coleman for a multitude of reasons. 1, Raheem Mostert is back. He's going to be the lead workhorse and starting running back. 2, Jerick Mckinnon is expected to be healthy, and when he is healthy, and when he's been healthy years ago, which I know is kind of a little bit of a scary proposition, but when he's been healthy, he's a better running back than Tevin Coleman. And Jeff Wilson Jr., I think, will be healthy and good to go, and he flashed a lot last year. Plus, they have some very interesting practice squad players like a JaMycal Hasty out of Baylor. We've talked about those guys. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But I think this 53-man roster would show that Tevin Coleman would need to go ahead and be cut. And cutting Tevin Coleman would just allow more money to be thrown at George Kittle to get that new contract, hopefully by the start of the NFL season. I would go ahead and cut him. It's very clear that Raheem Mostert, based on not only last year, but just overall in terms of what we're looking at going into training camp, he will be the starter and take a lot of carries away from Tevin Coleman, and so paying Coleman $5 million a year just does not make sense. So I would go ahead and cut him, and I would not be surprised if San Francisco makes him a surprise camp cut at some point during training camp. Do you guys agree? Should the 49ers cut Tevin Coleman? Type Y down below for yes, type N down below for no. Okay, moving on. Wide receiver. Now, this one's tricky, right? Because technically, Deebo Samuel and Richie James Jr. are injured right now, but they make my 7 wide receivers to make the team because we don't know what San Francisco is going to do with them. If they put them on the PUP list, they can't return until week 6. So my guess is San Francisco will keep them on the active roster because they're only going to miss like 1, 2, 3, or 4 games. That way you don't have them sit out longer than they need to do. So with that being said, it's Samuel Ayuk, Hurd, Bourne, Trent Taylor, yes, Dante Pettis, and Richie James Jr. I think Pettis, he's probably going to get a chance to go ahead and make the roster, although there are some other wide receivers like Juwan Jennings, who's going to make the practice squad, in my opinion, who, if he outperforms Pettis, then he will go ahead and take that spot. So a lot of these wide receiver areas are kind of interchangeable, but especially with Deebo Samuel and Richie James missing the first couple of games, a veteran receiver like Dante Pettis might just have to make the roster because he knows the playbook better than an undrafted free agent. Moving on to the tight ends. This is a new, but it's pretty simple in terms of what happens with Jordan Reed. Kittle obviously is tight end 1. Jordan Reed now is tight end 2, and Ross Dwelley is going to go ahead and be tight end 3. And I said this in a video earlier this week. This is just good news overall because the idea of Ross Dwelley being tight end number 2, while understandable because of how great George Kittle was last year, you just focused on Kittle. Adding a guy like Jordan Reed and the capability of Jordan Reed, even though he hadn't played in over a season and a half, just adds an overall security to the tight end position that I think makes a lot of sense. Plus, heaven forbid you have a George Kittle holdout or a George Kittle injury or George Kittle is upset with his contract. You have a very viable tight end behind him in Jordan Reed who can kind of fill what are very large shoes, but fill them at least halfway with receptions from the tight end position. Now, I've said many times, I think George Kittle will have a brand new contract by the start of week 1. Do you guys agree with me on this one? Let me know in the comment section down below. I hope he does, right? We better hope he has a new contract by week 1. It'll be very weird if they cannot get a deal done, but we'll have to wait and see as week 1. I think it's like less than a month and a couple of days away. We're getting very, very close to September and the start of the NFL season. Now, speaking of George Kittle and week 1 and the rest of the 49ers, do you have a brand new 49er jersey ready for week 1? If you don't, we have you guys covered right here in terms of all 49er jerseys. The majority of them are on sale at chatsports.com/49jersey. 20% off. They're only $79.99. You can get the George Kittle one. You can get the Jimmy Garoppolo one. How about a Deebo Samuel one? I'm telling you, the majority of 49er players are all there. They're all authentic Nike stuff, not that cheapo, eBay China knockoffs that you don't, you look weird wearing them because they don't have like the right colors or whatever. These are official. Chatsports.com/49jersey. Pick them up right now. Okay, let's finish up the offense here with the O-line. You're going to keep 9. Trent Williams, Lincoln Tomlinson, Weston Richburg, Tom Compton, Mike McGlinchey, Daniel Brunskill, Ben Garland, Justin School, and Colton Mikovits is probably going to be your 9 offensive linemen. The question is going to be, will it be Tom Compton or will it be Ben Garland who can start on the offensive line at the right guard position? I think Tom Compton, even though I said in my previous video he might not even make the football team, I think he's going to be one of the ones to go ahead and be on the offensive line depth chart. There are a couple of guys who are free agents or undrafted free agents who obviously are going to have a shot at the practice squad we'll talk about in a little bit, but the O-line is pretty solid, and obviously when you have a guy like Trent Williams who looks really good so far from everything I've heard at training camp, it's very exciting overall. There's my projection for the 49ers offense. You guys think they have a top 10 offense in 2020? I do. If you agree, type 1 down below for yes, type 2 down below for no. Okay, defense. Linebacker is simple. You got to keep 5. Fred Warner, Quan Alexander, Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shire, and Joe Walker is probably going to be that 5th linebacker, a.k.a. the special teams linebacker. There is some competition there in terms of who's going to go ahead and be that 5th linebacker, but Walker is a special teams specialist. I think he's going to go ahead and be linebacker number 5. The question will be Alexander or Greenlaw at linebacker 2, which will be figured out during training camp. D-line, again, a lot of great players. Very simple, a new addition in Deion Jones, but it'll be Bosa, Kinlaw, Jones, Armstead, Ford, Jordan. I said Deion Jones. I meant Deion Jordan. Excuse me. Ronald Blair, Solomon Thomas, Kerry Hyder, Kentavious Street, and Kevin Givens is probably going to be your 10th guy on there, at least until Julian Taylor comes back from IR, since he will start on IR with his injury. D-line, nothing really new to see here besides the addition of Deion Jordan, which I think is very exciting. We talked about at length in a video just a couple of days ago. Who do you guys think will lead the 49ers in sacks in 2020? Is it Bosa? Is it Armstead? Is it Ford? Is it somebody else? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. It's probably going to be Bosa. We hope it's Bosa, but it could be somebody else. Let me know your pick in the comment section. Cornerback, again, very simple. Sherman and Mosley are your 2 starters. Williams plays in the slot. Witherspoon is the backup. And I think it'll be Jamar Taylor and Jason Verrett as your 2 special teams guys / backup cornerbacks sitting right there. Another question here, much like the Dre Greenlaw, Quan Alexander debate, is going to be the Mosley versus Witherspoon camp battle. Who's never going to be the cornerback number 2? I've said for months and months and months it's going to go ahead and be an Emmanuel Mosley. I think it's going to be an Emmanuel Mosley, but obviously it's an open battle at training camp, and if Witherspoon balls out and plays really, really well, then he will go ahead and get the start. But the cornerbacks, they keep 6, and the starters are basically the same from like the Super Bowl as it was last year. Now, speaking of those jerseys, again, we not only have offensive jerseys, but defensive jerseys as well. Richard Sherman, Nick Bosa, there's a Javon Kinlaw one, so you get a rookie one as well. They're all on sale right now. Again, chatsports.com/49jersey, 20% off. Majority of them are under $80 right now for the authentic jerseys. Not only on the offense, and maybe you like Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's fine. Defensive guys, love for the big boys up front. It's all right there at chatsports.com/49jersey. Winding down here, the safeties, they only keep 3. This one will be a little bit controversial, but it'll be Ward, Tart, and Moore. A lot of people want Marcel Harris and Jared Maiden to go ahead and be the 4th, or one of them be the 4th safety. It just doesn't work out in this 53-man roster according to my projections here. I think Harris and Maiden are both going to go ahead and be practice squad guys, and so they're going to hope that Tart and Ward can hold down the fort as much as they did last year and be healthy, as majority of them were healthy last season. That's my final projection for the 49ers defense. And I've said before, this is easily a top 10 defense. I mean, this is as obvious as it gets. So if you agree, hit type A down below for yes, type B down below if you're crazy and don't think the 49ers will have a top 10 defense. Finally, here are the special teams guys. This is, again, simple. It'll be Robbie Gould as your place kicker, Mitch Wisnowski as your punter, and Kyle Nelson as your long snapper. So let me go ahead and get into my practice squad projections, and we'll be 12 practice squad players in total. But first, subscribe to the 49ers Report, because if anything happens to any of these players, or they add new players, or we just find out how they're looking in training camp, we cover it here on the 49ers Report. So go ahead and subscribe for more of the latest 49er content all throughout training camp season, as we're going to get about a month of training camp, and then week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, practice squad. This is my projection for the 12 practice squad players. The first 4 you see here, JaMycal Hasty and Jauan Jennings are the 2 notable ones. JaMycal Hasty, obviously the running back. He'd probably be called up if they were to cut Tevin Coleman. And Jauan Jennings, who could replace like a Dante Pettis if they were to cut Dante Pettis. Obviously, Jennings is the undrafted free agent out of Tennessee. Chase Harrell, the tight end. You got Ross Reynolds, Flanagan Foles, and Jonathan Kongbo are probably going to be the other 4 there on my next 4 in terms of the 12 total practice squad players. And finally, there is Jared Maiden and Marcel Harris, along with Jonas Griffin and DeMarcus Acey, the cornerback. Those are probably going to be your 12 practice squad players, at least at the beginning. And then with the new NFL rules, you can call people up and call people back down. It makes it a lot easier for a practice squad player to be moved up in terms of the total NFL roster and get a lot more playing time than previous years with the new CBA. Okay, do you guys disagree with any of this in the comment section? The 49ers are so talented, and a lot of their players are just locks to be starters, that it's pretty easy to break this down. The question mark will be, will they carry a third quarterback? Will they carry 5 running backs? And what will they do at the wide receiver position? But everything else to me is basically set in stone, and that's why we did this video today. So let me know if you guys agree with it in the comment section down below. All time we have for today here on the 49ers Report. I am Thomas Mott. My 53-man roster is complete, so I'm signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.